serfs in Russia were the agricultural slaves who worked on their owner's land, and they were important in the Russian Revolution because they all rallied behind Lenin when he promised them peace, land, and bread.
Known as a person with absolute power, such as Tsar Nicholas II, right before the Russian Revolution.
Alexander Kerensky was a Russian lawyer and leader of the moderately socialist Trudoviks. He became the Prime Minister of Russia until it was overthrown by the Bolsheviks.
A pogrom was a violent attack on a religious group, particularly the Jewish people living in the Russian Empire. The Russo-Japanese War was fought between the Russian Empire and the Japanese Empire. The war was fought over a warm water port in Manchuria. The Revolution of 1905 was a wave of political and social unrest. This revolution led to constitutional reform.
On January 9, 1905, a massive group of workers led by a Russian Orthodox priest loyal to the Tsar, Father Gregory Gapon, carried pictures of the Tsar and a petition to present to him at his imperial palace in St. Petersburg. Although the Tsar was not even there, government officials ordered the troops to fire on the crowd. This became known as Bloody Sunday.
After the revolutions of 1905, Tsar Nicholas II introduced the Duma. The Duma is a Russian assembly with legislative functions.
The Triple Entente was the alliance between Russia, France, and Great Britain in World War I, and it was later terminated when the Bolsheviks came into power in Russia in 1917.
Tsar Nicholas II reigned from 1894 to 1917. He was the last Tsar of Russia and hoped to preserve the traditional autocratic ways of his predecessors. Tsarina Alexandra was the last Empress of Russia and spouse to Alexander II.
Grigory Rasputin made important decisions for the Russian government as he stopped the bleeding of the German-born princess' hemophiliac son. Eventually, he was assassinated in December 1916.
The March Revolution began with a series of strikes in the city of Petrograd. On March 8th, otherwise known as International Women's Day, about 10,000 women marched through Petrograd shouting peace and bread and down with autocracy. When Nicholas II ordered the military commanders to stop the revolution, they initially obeyed, but then ended up joining the people in the revolution.
Oh, shoot!
The new economic policy was a policy proposed by Vladimir Lenin. It would include a free market run by the government.
The provisional government was a mostly liberal government in Russia and was made to control the economics and politics of the Russian government during World War I. Vladimir Lenin was the leader of the Bolshevik movement and led them to overthrow the government in the October Revolution. Lenin's policies industrialized Russia.
Ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, peace, land, and bread.
Yeah!
If you support me, I'll take Russia out of war.
Yeah!
If you support me, I'll make the peasants get more land.
Yeah!
And finally, I'll give the Soviets and the workers to take control of the factories.
Yeah!
Let's do this.
Yeah!
Thank you.
Leon Trotsky was friends with Lenin and followed him to power in the Bolsheviks party, and shared the same socialist and communist ideas for Russia.
The Soviets were councils of workers and soldiers' deputies. They represented the more radical interests of the lower classes and were largely composed of socialists of various kinds. Among them was the Marxist Social Democratic Party, which later formed the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks.
The Bolsheviks invited a revolution.
We cannot go to war, we do not have an army.
Then what can we do?
I guess we'll have to surrender.
Hello, sir. Is anyone following me? No. Am I all good? All right.
We're good.
Come on, we gotta go. We need to get the provisional government out of here. Let's go. Come on.
provisional government, we are taking back Russia. Put your hands up. That's good. Guys, we have taken over Nicholas' Second Empire and the provisional government. We now must create new laws and help us be a better country. Yeah!
The Russians were forced to drop out of World War I from the Russian Revolution through the armistice, the Brest-Litovsk treaties in 1918.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Bienvenido.
Hello, sir. Alright. I know, I'm gonna make this nice and short. I know that my country right now can no longer be in the war, and this is gonna help our nation to become stronger, and hopefully the war will end soon.
Which were Bolshevik, and the Whites, which were anti-Bolshevik. The Russian Civil War lasted